called to mobilize political support.
Inevitably, it may boil down to dollars and cents. With coal prices near a historic low relative to oil, it appears economic realities in Indonesia may take priority over environmental concerns. Bernie, however you look at it, there's a high price to pay for global economic growth.
You've been there. You've been in Jakarta for about for the last week or so. What is the air like? Just out of curiosity. I mean, compared to Singapore, is it noticeably more polluted? I mean, the country now has a chance to sort of engineer its future. China has to clean up its act. They're paying the price for rapid economic growth in the form of toxic rivers, toxic lakes, and horribly filthy air in a lot of their metropolitan centers. What's it like in Jakarta? They're aware that there's a big price to pay, right?
Well, they are aware. It is polluted here already, but the point is this. They want to use coal because it is a cheaper alternative, and they know the hazards. What they're doing is to get technology that can help burn coal more efficiently. Now, as far as CO2 emissions are concerned, and as far as the energy minister is concerned, he says that the emission in Indonesia is about 20% compared to other countries like China. So, they're working towards reducing that emission going forward, and they're looking at a longer time frame by 2025, perhaps.
We're also going to be getting the latest snapshot of the economic picture out of Indonesia tomorrow, I believe, with the latest GDP report, and it's widely expected the economy is continuing to boom, ahead of 6% growth for the second consecutive quarter. Are the people that you've talked to so far very bullish about the economic growth prospects? Is there anything that could cause the whole system to hit the skids?
Well, Indonesia's growth is pretty much driven by exports. Commodities, palm oil, rubber, and so on and so forth. Now, as long as commodity prices remain high, Indonesia's growth will pretty much be intact. Now, what can derail it? Well, Indonesia is an importer of oil despite being an OPEC member. If oil prices surge, that could have implications on its growth. Bernie.
Okay. By the way, speaking of oil prices, is it a market mechanism, or are subsidies still in place? How realistic are what people pay at the pump and for petroleum products?
Well, subsidies here are, subsidized by about 60%. So it's not a true reflection of market demand. Bernie?
Okay. Haslinda, you stay safe there. Haslinda in Jakarta. She'll rejoin us from that rooftop just ahead. In just a moment, a preview of Japanese bank earnings with Nikko Citigroup.
The mighty Europeans, holders of the Ryder Cup, united in battle to defeat the Chinese, Indians, Koreans, Japanese, Thais, all of Asia competing as one for the victorious stewardship of the Royal Trophy, a battle of pride, honor and glory, a date with destiny. January 11th to 13th, 2008, Mata Spring Country Club, Bangkok, Thailand.
Dirty water, dangerous air, global warming, drought, deforestation. These are just some of the threats to the environment across the Asia-Pacific. Fixing the problems can also create opportunities for investors. From alternative fuels to carbon trading to natural resource management. We'll bring you the latest trends as we focus on a greener Asia every Thursday on Bloomberg Live.
Most Japanese banks are out with financials this week. Could be some fallout from credit crisis, but bigger question, how contained will it be? Mike Fern previewed the results with Hironari Nozaki, Managing Director at Nikko Citigroup.
I believe the exposure is quite limited. If we think the subprime can value nothing, even in that worst case, the impact is quite limited and negligible.
We may not get another interest rate rise this year. How's that going to affect banks' loan margins?
There's a speculation that there's no further improvement of the loan margin, but we haven't seen the full benefit of the last two rate hikes because of the laggard effect that is called the J-curve effect. Therefore, the second quarter this fiscal year and the third quarter is the first time for us to see the full benefit enjoyed by the past two rate hikes. And for example, sensitivity of the lending rate is roughly speaking 80 to 90%. And the sensitivity of the deposit rate is only 40% to 50%. So remaining balance of the 40% or something is the marginal benefit for them.
Mizuho is the only one of the big three banks that hasn't given preliminary figures. What are you expecting for them for the first half, and what's the outlook for the second half?
Yes, they may have suffered some losses concerning subprime and also the LBO financing in Europe. But they will offset such losses with their write back of their reserve. Therefore, my guess is they will retain their outlook for their net profit number. One of the purpose for doing that is their commitment to buy back the shares. They are planning to buy back a huge amount of the shares from the market. That is the case for the first half, and at the time of the announcement, I expect Mizuho to announce additional budget for the buyback of the shares.
How about Mitsubishi UFJ? It said at the end of October, net income 52% drop in the first half. That missed its own forecast that it made in May, and it cut its full year forecast by 25%.
A major reason for the such drag of the earnings is coming from the UFJ Nikkos, but I a little bit worry about their core profit number because the outlook for the second half for their core profits is very weak. There may be some reasons like trading profits and also the outlook for the loan growth.
How about the number three bank, Sumitomo Mitsui? They did pre-announce a drop of 30%. That was better than their previous forecast, and they actually raised the full year forecast by 5.5%. How come they're doing better than the two bigger banks?
I think SMFG may be consistently the best performer for the first half as well as the second half. One of the reasons for the better performance can be found with their performance in the tradings. They did well in their bond tradings, and also they jumped into the turmoil of the financial market in European and the US market in the middle of August, and they enjoy the trading benefits over there.
So what about share price valuations? Are they attractive now, and which company shares do you like the most?
I'm ultra bullish about the outlook of the share price because share price is overdone, and actually people in the market are just worrying about the hidden losses on their subprime things. But actually the losses should be quite limited. Therefore, given this cheap variation of the share price, I think there may be super upside in the future.
Super upside of how much do you think?
Like over 30-40% in the near term.
That's Nico's view on the markets. By the way, another house is saying that the yen is going to gain more and more strength as time goes by. Chief currency trader in Tokyo at BTM, Mitsubishi UFJ, saying 95 against the dollar. Jake, 95 yen against the dollar. I don't think we've seen that since the mid-90s. What does the market think of that prospect?
Well, that's not happening today, Bernie. The yen's going the opposite way. We're seeing stocks up in the US, biggest rally in 2 months there. We're seeing the Asian stock indexes open as we talk, looking like a good day there. And at the moment, that simply means traders are more confident. They're going back into the yen to borrow it, to invest in these higher yielding currencies like Australia, like New Zealand. And that's all bad for the yen, and it's pushing it down today. But, like we've heard from those forecasts you're just saying, on the long term, people are bullish on the yen. They're saying, yeah, these interest rates will go up eventually from this 0.5% that they've been held at yesterday and for a while since. And the yen has to gain when you've got a strengthened economy, albeit very, very slowly.
The U.S. Really hit the stride in the equity markets. I guess that's creating demand for U.S. dollars for a change?
Well, sort of. Investors have been really mixed about the subprime news coming out of the US. But for today, when we've seen Goldman Sachs yesterday say, look, I don't think there's going to be any write-downs, that's given the stocks a push up, and that's good news for the dollar against the yen, but it might also push the dollar down against some of these emerging market currencies. It might be good news for them because in a time when people are confident, there's just better returns outside of the US. So sometimes we see this weird reverse thing where good news for the US is actually bad for the US dollar, and people want to go elsewhere apart from the US, where interest rates are coming down.
Mm-hmm. And they're getting into the A dollar and Kiwi dollar again.
Look, they've been going up all year, and today they're going up today, and it looks like there's no stopping them. The Australia at a 20-year high, New Zealand at the highest since the float. It's good news for those two.
It's just a matter of time before the A dollar hits par with the US dollar, like the loon did, some are saying, although we're still about a dime away from that. Thanks, Jake. We'll come back. Okay. One last go at the tech market. Stuart O'Gorman joining us from Henderson Investors on why tech. 'Tis the season for tech this holiday season. We're also going to talk about Dell's new strategy and teaming up with retailers.